Good afternoon, everybody. Brian Newber here from GoldandBlack.com, settling in for a long day on what is essentially a two-credential day around here at Purdue. The football game starts here in hours, so I have time to kill, so you might be in store for the longest rap video in the history of the brand after a game that gave me very little to talk about, so buckle up. If you've been drinking this morning, you're probably going to need it. Thank you to the Purdue Union Club Hotel for your support. As always, we appreciate it. As always, this is, well, not as always, but this is your GoldandBlack.com rap video, as we've already established, following Purdue's 109-62 win over Eastern Illinois here in Mackey Arena. First of all, this is why you purposely schedule one of these bye games after Thanksgiving, after your MTE, and before you go play a Big Ten game, because the lull Purdue appeared to be in to start this game is not uncommon this time of year, and you want to get it out of your system against an opponent who you really physically cannot lose to. All due respect to Eastern Illinois, that's just kind of the nature of a sport where the big ones eat the little ones, and the big ones just wear the little ones down. There's really not a whole lot of hope for Eastern Illinois when they come to places like Purdue, when Purdue's as good as Purdue is this year. I think there's probably some value. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but Purdue giving Eastern Illinois an opportunity to at least score to start this game, it being 19-19 at one point, whatever the score actually was 100% about Purdue turning the ball over, which by extension was 100% about this lull that I just talked about. Purdue was, relatively careless, not particularly sharp to open this game, and I think there's probably some roundabout value in Purdue, turning the ball over and seeing real time. This is what happens when you turn the ball over, because I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but this Big Ten road opener every year in December, Purdue loses. Not every year, but pretty close to it, and it's always to a team that Purdue is better than. And it largely has had to do with turnovers. So for Purdue to actually come out here, turn the ball over, and actually see it bite it in the you-know-what, maybe there's some positive to that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking for something to talk about for 5 hours before a football game starts. I don't know. But, Purdue scores 109 points, barely trying. I think says something about the potency of this basketball team, clearly. This was really a game for 10 minutes. The stats are completely warped by the game conditions. Purdue, ends up allowing 46.3% shooting Eastern Illinois, 100% because of the final 10 to 15 minutes of this game after Purdue was up a million. So no one should be beating their chest once again, as always, over beating Eastern Illinois as badly as Purdue just beat Eastern Illinois. But there's some context that has to be applied to viewing this outcome, in that, Purdue turned the ball over. Purdue was Eastern Illinois' best offense, and Purdue's got to be sharper than this against credible teams who can actually compete with it. But I think Purdue's old enough, experienced enough, seasoned enough, battle-tested, if you will, enough to understand that it can't come out at Rutgers and be as dull. And by dull, I mean not sharp. I don't mean like boring. I mean like the opposite of sharp. That word can go a couple different ways, including being used as a verb. So Purdue's got to take care of the basketball. I think that reminder for a team that shouldn't need to have lessons on such things anymore at this stage of its career together might work out to its benefit. I have no idea. But Purdue's got to be sharp against Rutgers. It's got to play hard against Rutgers. This is its first of this season moment where you go into a place, you are the pig at the luau. They want to storm the floor if they beat you. Rutgers does not have a high major basketball team this year. All due respect to them, They are not a high major basketball team, so Purdue has to take care of business. And Purdue wants to win the Big Ten this year. There is viable competition in this Big Ten race this year, more so than people might have figured beforehand. Michigan was crowned the national champion this week. Michigan State's pretty good. So I think Purdue cannot afford to drop that game in December that it seems to drop every year. It's overcome it a number of times. It could not last year after that Penn State loss. But you just don't want to be in that position. You're also obviously playing for a resume here, and you can't have bad losses. There aren't very many scenarios where Rutgers is a good loss for you, even if it's on the road. So some other things, I guess, about this game. The two centers, man, they are really, really filling in a lot of holes in this team and really, really contributing some different ways. I think the high percentage offense you're getting from them, again, it's not a compliment to say a team makes its dunks. It's a backhanded compliment if it's any form of compliment. But Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson are giving Purdue really, really high efficiency finishing at the rim, which was one of Purdue's most overlooked, glaring needs last year. I think they are taking physical tolls on people. When you see Oscar Clough throwing people around, that wears people down. When you see people, especially the low majors of the world, trying to deal with Daniel Jacobson's height and length, that takes a toll on people. That pins fouls on people. That leads to the hidden productivity, that size has always provided Purdue when Purdue's had credible size. Free throws, foul trouble for the opponent, offensive rebounds, rim protection that might lead to fast break opportunities. Daniel Jacobson blocked 6 shots in this game in 18 minutes. It's not, the games aren't always going to be like this, but Purdue didn't block 6 shots in 2 weeks last year. And last year at some point has to not be the barometer of what this team is and whatnot, but I'm just using it still to highlight the differences in the rebounding column, the rim protection column, and the high efficiency rim finishing that these guys have given Purdue on top of some other elements. Who expected Oscar Clough to be such a good passer? This is a guy who probably has played most of his career prior to Purdue without a lot of great weapons around him. Part of his complementary role for Purdue with all these dudes around him on a great team is moving the basketball, playing high-low with Trey Kaufman-Moran, finding shooters off offensive rebounds, and he is doing an impeccable job of that. And I can't remember, I think he's at 15 assists now for the season with only 2 turnovers. That is huge when guys on low usage just don't turn the ball over and make good things happen when they touch the ball, on the few opportunities they touch the ball, whether they generate their own touch or the ball gets thrown to them. That stuff really adds up and becomes a really, really big part of that winning equation for Purdue. It's going to come out more when these games are closer and more competitive, because that's when the little things really start to matter even more. In a game like this that you're up by 50-some points in the second half, despite not waking up until 6 minutes into the game, it kind of gets obscured a little bit. But when little things matter more than they do right now, that will be a really big deal. Oscar Clough's passing, Oscar Clough's really high efficiency, low volume role for this team, and the fact that, where Purdue couldn't make a basket at the rim last year, I've broken down all the numbers at GoldandBlack.com. If you want to go back and find them and read them, I've got how many dunks they missed, their shooting percentages at the rims, things at the rim. They're not only shooting on one rim at a time, so don't. You'll have to excuse that slip of the tongue here. Purdue was a bad team with its secondary guys finishing at the basket. That cost Braden Smith assists. That cost Trey Kaufman-Moran assists. That cost Purdue God knows how many points and how many games outcomes those points might have influenced. There's no way of knowing, but it was a huge problem. And it sure looks like a problem solved. Now, when Trey Kaufman draws that second defender now, there's a big rolling to the rim who, if he catches the ball, he's going to finish it, 9 times out of 10, whereas last year that was 6 times out of 10. According to the numbers, I'm not making that up. That's what the numbers say. Purdue missed like a quarter of its dunks last year. It's not good. As I said before, it's not a compliment to say a team makes its dunks. It's a backhanded compliment, if any kind of compliment. But this team makes its dunks. It makes its layups for the most part, and it cashes in on its opportunities. When you hit that nexus of cashing in on your opportunities and not creating opportunities for the opponent, like Purdue did in the first 10 minutes of this game via its own turnovers, that's when you hit your ceiling from a productivity perspective. The rebounding column is going to be one Purdue fares very well in, even when the going gets tough here against more credible teams. Not that Purdue has played entirely cream puffs to this point, far from it, but the Eastern Illinois game is not the face you necessarily want to put on that area of the game. So Purdue's got to be Big Ten ready here. They got to be physical. They got to be smart. They got to take care of the basketball. And they just, when shots aren't going in, they have to defend like they have in spurts at times here. They have to take care of the basketball like their life depends on it. That is the single biggest thing here. But Purdue's in a great spot here. The aesthetics involved in Purdue's 7-0 start might not always be, pristine, but it doesn't matter. Purdue's deep. Purdue's got a couple of great players that are shooting the hell out of the basketball. They've got size. They've got chemistry, and they've just got a lot going for them. So that needs to carry over from non-conference play to conference play, starting with these first 2 Big Ten games. At Rutgers, then Minnesota, with the Iowa State game crammed in between. TV does not want marquee Big Ten matchups in December because football's still going on, and they want the games that really matter to be on the back end of the season. So Purdue basically gets scheduled what should be a 2-0 start, but what should have been 2-0 starts in the past have been a real adventure for this team over the years. For whatever reason, I don't know, but that's something Purdue's got to get fixed here. They need to come out, in my opinion, like Darth Vader going into New Jersey on a bloodthirsty warpath, understanding that you cannot go in there and let Rutgers, out-effort you when they have no business beating you. I don't know how that crowd's going to be. The RAC, Jersey Mike's, is going to be a really tough place to play, but it's worse. It's harder to play in when Rutgers is good. As I said before, Rutgers is not a high major basketball team this year. So, and I'm glib about that kind of stuff, understanding that everyone's dangerous on their home floor, but they're just not. And, last year you go there, you have to worry about 2 pros on that team. Before that, you had to worry about these teams that were typical Steve Peichel teams, grinders, really motivated guys who were going to really, really fight you. And Rutgers got away from that last year. Whether they got back to it this year or not, results aren't positive. They lost to Central Connecticut State at home. I don't know how they got it as close against Notre Dame as they did in Vegas. I missed the second half, but I saw the first half, and they got run out of the building. But Purdue's got to be sharp. As I say before, and this sounds condescending coming from a hack like me versus an actual, expert, Purdue's standard should be the very best Purdue can be. It shouldn't be whatever's right in front of it in any given game. You can't play to Rutgers level here. You played to Memphis's level in the Bahamas, and you saw how much you had to fight to win that game. So Rutgers is going to try to do the same thing. It's going to have to be a couple of pigs rolling around in the mud for Rutgers to have a chance, and it's up to Purdue to not be a pig. That is the best analogy I think I've ever come up with off the top of my head during a video. So I told you I had hours to kill, but I'm just going to spare you so you can get to your pre-gaming before the football game. If you're going to the football game, it is cold outside, but this is an opportunity here for Purdue football to do something really, really remarkable. In reality, the better approach is to probably hope that this was not the only 50-point margin a Purdue scoreboard sees today. But you never know, and that's what's great about college sports is you never know. So that's what I got. So from Purdue's 109 to 62 win over Eastern Illinois. This is Brian Newber from GoldandBlack.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials. However it is you process our materials, please consider joining us at GoldandBlack.com. You will not be sorry. And I will talk to you guys again tonight as part of our post-game football show. And then when I speak to you again on this channel, we will be bringing back our much ballyhooed GoldandBlack.com postcard video series from my native habitat, my natural habitat, the urban sprawl of northern New Jersey. So you guys can look forward to that. I will be flying to Rutgers on Sunday, give myself an extra day in my friendly confines. So thanks everybody for watching and all of that stuff, and I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you got some great Black Friday deals. Our price here on this video remains the same. Nothing. Exactly what it's worth. So thanks everybody.